Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Man, it's been a tough week. Being eliminated, not in playoff contention. I wore this shirt just to reminisce on just what we had a year ago. Prescott, Elliott, the whole movement. We were, just the hope and the optimism that we had. Even after the Green Bay loss, just, hey, we're going to be right back. We're going to, all this type of stuff. And here we are a year later. Many of us are frustrated. Many of us looking at this coaching staff, looking at the front office and this roster. And kind of just wanted to break down a few things step by step and kind of go from there. The coaching staff, just to start off, you guys know where I stand. I'm ready to move on from Jason Garrett. I've seen what I needed to see over the last 10 years. Going back to that Giants game. We lost that. When I say the Giants game, I'm talking about that Giants playoff game in 2007 when he was the OC. The same way we lost that game was pretty much the same way we lost this Seahawks game today. Marion Barber were leading at halftime, over 100 yards rushing, and he gets 4 carries in the second half. And then I see the same thing with the Seattle game. Ezekiel Elliott has, 50 yards rushing in the first quarter, and then later in the game, critical moment, get down the 3-yard line, and you guys know the rest. So I'm ready to move on. I mean, we've seen too much, and many people have touched on this today throughout YouTube and television, so I don't want to react, but we've seen so much of this over and over again, and at this point, I'm ready for something new. I know there's a large contingent of fans who are in the stay the course camp, and I respect that, but my question to you is, what have you seen from Jason Garrett over the last 7 years as the head coach that makes you believe that he's the right guy to lead us to a Super Bowl? Because to me, that's the goal. If the goal is to be above average, then I'm cool with Jason Garrett remaining the head coach, because that's what he's been. And that's what the evidence has shown us. But sometimes teams have to make adjustments to make it to that ultimate tier, and not every guy is the right guy to take them to where they need to be. And again, everything I'm saying is outside of the realm of consideration for Jerry Jones's ego, because we all know that, there's nothing any of us can do about that. But that's where I'm at with the coaching staff. Ideally, I would love to target a guy like Josh McDaniels. Looking at what he's done with that quarterback room in New England, I was so impressed with his development of Jimmy Garoppolo. And when the time was right, they moved Jimmy Garoppolo. They moved even Jacoby Brissett. And both of them were ready to play for the respective organizations that they went to. And when I look at the things that Dak Prescott has struggled with, especially since that Atlanta game, because I believe that's where everything began. He's had PTSD since the Adrian Claiborne fiasco with Chaz Green. He's had bad feet, poor ball placement, and bad eyes down the field. And Jimmy Garoppolo, when you watch him play, and right now I don't know if there's 7 or 8 quarterbacks I would take over Jimmy G, to be very, very honest with you. That's how well he's played. His ball placement / anticipation throwing down the field, outstanding. Feet, outstanding. Eyes down the field, excellent. All of that is coaching and development. Yes, you have to give credit to the player, his ability, his talent, and all that. But this is assuming all quarterbacks work hard and, they have the certain intangibles, and we've seen that from Dak Prescott. So I know it's in him because we saw it just last season. Now it's a question of, how will he be developed? Many of you, not many of you, but some of you are already out on Dak and all that, but I implore you to just have patience dealing with a second-year player who is in a poor scheme with limited playmakers. Just is what it is. And many of you keep pointing to Tony Romo and the things that he did. You're comparing a finished product in Tony Romo to an unfinished product in Dak Prescott. That isn't fair. And for those of you who keep this narrative going that Romo was pushed out the door, blah, blah, blah. No, Tony Romo was physically unable to continue to play football. It is what it is. If we had counted on him, we would end up where we were in 2015. And many of you are forgetting where we ended up in 2015. Once he went down, we had nothing left behind him. We go 4-12. whether it's the collarbone. And Tony had to consider quality of life, and obviously he's made the right decision. He's already one of the premier broadcasters in all of football. Moving on to, I addressed I mentioned the limited playmakers. Another thing that I think, before I even go on the scheme, is obviously we're looking at Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant's been under fire a lot, rightfully so. The fumble, the drops all season. I mean, Dez, speaking of having been right, I don't know if he's been right since the catch against Green Bay, or the non-catch. And I think he's in a position, though, where under the right coaching staff, maybe a different wide receiver coach, something, just to reinvigorate him, and playing next to another elite wide receiver, facing off against, because Dez has never, let's be real, Dez has never dominated corners because his route running has never been elite. But if he's a number 2 guy, it changes everything. Because I think right now, Dez, even he's still young enough to have the resurgence to be a more athletic Anquan Bolden, in my opinion. But he has to get that route running down and be able to take advantage of certain coverages within a better scheme that we will hopefully deploy. And getting to Dez, I think that what I love about Dez is he wants to be a Cowboy. And I've been very hard on him. I've wrestled with, he shouldn't be on team, blah, blah. But we're forgetting, he's one of the best receivers we've ever had in Cowboys history. But he's at a point in his career now that we cannot rely on him to be a go-to guy, especially in a poor scheme. And when I talk about scheme, one of the things I want to highlight is a lot of you, myself included, have been frustrated. Why aren't we throwing the ball more downfield? Dak Prescott. Oh, why isn't Dak throwing the ball downfield? Blah, blah. It's hard to throw the ball downfield when nobody runs downfield routes. Being there in person, again, 2-minute drill, and everyone's running 10-yard curl routes. There's no building on their plays or anything, and that's one of the central things that need to be addressed with the coaching staff if they decide to change coordinators or what have you, because we were so bad in third quarters this year, and that is a direct reflection on the coaching staff. You look at the front office, and that's where I get into the limited playmakers aspect, because one of the things the Broncos exposed in week 2 was how to take away Cole Beasley, and we never recovered from that. And that bracket coverage is really on Jason Witten. And I hate to even speak ill of Jason, because he's a Gold Jacket, Hall of Famer, first ballot, no questions asked, one of the greatest tight ends ever, one of the greatest Cowboys ever. I love Jason Witten. He's like Captain America's son to me. I look at Roger Staubach as Captain America, and Jason Witten is the resurgence. That's the type of man that he is and he represents. But it's easy to bracket Cole Beasley over the middle when you don't have a tight end that can challenge safeties and challenge the deep part in the middle of the field. We really don't. I mean, his lack of speed, he's never been a burner or anything, but he did at one point in his career have the ability to do 2 things: 2 challenge safeties down the middle of the field and get not just separation, but separation with body positioning and what have you, because he did have some athleticism, and he was also a red zone threat with his size. Jason Witten now is neither of those things. And then if you combine that with his poor run blocking this year, and yes, his run blocking is poor, that's not my word. You can look at Pro Football Focus, and you look at what other teams around the league are doing with their tight ends. And that's kind of where I want to end the video too. Cowboys fans, I implore you, this week 17 and going in through the Super Bowl, watch other teams' offenses. Watch the good teams, the well-coached teams like the Rams and the Patriots. Those 2, just start there. Watch what they do in the first quarter and watch how they finish the game. Especially when they're playing good defenses, their offenses don't even look the same beginning to end, because they adjust and they evolve to the flow of what the defense is throwing at them, what the defense is doing to try to stop them, and how they can attack defenses. I implore you to watch how they utilize their personnel and how they change. A concept that you'll hear a lot in football is multiple. The Cowboys right now are not multiple. And that means how many different formations, personnel groupings can you deploy against a defense to counter a defense? Right now, our team is built it's one way in, one way out. If you stop our run and our play action pass, this year our bootleg was non-existent because everybody studied what we did in 2016 and shut that down. But wait, how come Kyle Shanahan can still run bootleg? How come Atlanta can still run bootleg? And all these other teams can run bootleg? Because it's properly schemed and diagnosed against what the defense is doing. Okay? They're able to run out of multiple formations. They have something I like to call window dressing, dressing up their plays and hiding certain things, hiding your weaknesses and magnifying your strengths. That is something that this coaching staff has failed at doing. And that's my biggest reason on why we need to move forward, at least with some new coordinators, new quarterback coach, something to help address these things. Because the windows that Dak Prescott is throwing through and the routes that these wide receivers are being asked to run, whether it's Cole Beasley or Dez Bryant, they are not getting the same opportunity to flourish that other people are getting in other offenses and schemes. And pay close attention to these things in the playoffs, because right now the Cowboys front office is doing a very poor job of scouting the rest of the league. You have to keep up with the Joneses, no pun intended. You really do, because you will get left behind. And right now, even defensively, we're running very, very dated schemes and ideas. And until those things are cultivated in our quarterback room, in our film room, and throughout the Cowboys building and organization, we're going to continue to be in these places, okay? You know, we were fooled by the Tony Romo stuff, because Tony Romo did have a brilliant football mind, and he could diagnose things at the line of scrimmage and get us, but that's not sustainable. And if it was sustainable, he would have a championship. And that's why I'll end the video, guys. I mean, again, pay attention to what's going on in the league. I'll start making some videos just to highlight what other teams are doing, just so we can share that with you guys and continue the conversation. But please hit me up in the comments below whether you think Jason should stay or whether you think he should go and why. Appreciate the support, and see you guys soon.